Okay, Itamek Skanatani. Good morning. It is not too early, after 7 o'clock in the AM on Sunday, May 5th, 2019, and we've just entered into the lunar cycle Matsi Kapesaki, some the frog moon, which is the first of what'll be 6 summer lunar cycles. So as you can tell, from the snow that I'm brushing off my Jeep, it is kind of officially the first day of summer here in sunny southern Alberta. And I'm about to go on my usual Sunday morning walk and talk, and figured today I should make a little update video. I've had a weird week, and to talk about it I probably have to start, back last weekend or so. But before we get there, I want to note that a few hours have passed since the introduction to this video, obviously, and I'm here at Spopikami, where I've been most of the day so far. It's around noontime now, and cold, maybe 1 degree above zero. But, when I was here this morning with my students for my usual Sunday walk and talk, it was just all winter wonderland. It's just all snow, and it's probably the wolf cap snow, Makoyist Somokan, the wolf hat. And this is the first and the last snow of the season. And interesting that it should come, last night, because it is, we're in the new moon period. We haven't had the first sliver of the frog moon, so really we're not into the summer yet, although it might be tonight and I won't even know because the clouds are covering the sky. So but any case, I wanted to note before I get into my recap of the week, I've been coming out here to Spopikami for like 15 years, and this is the first time I've seen so many newly chewed or newly stripped branches and sticks on the beaver lodge. And I think this the north end of the lodge here kind of collapsed over the last week for some reason. I don't know if an animal went up there that was weighty, and a human and or deer and or whatever, and kind of made it collapse. I don't know what happened, or if it just happened, or if maybe I'm just imagining it, but to me it seems like this north end collapsed in the last week. I was here with some beaver scouts, kind of like Boy Scouts, and I'll tell you about that, but that's when I first kind of noticed that this north end was pushed down. And since then, they've piled up an abundance of freshly stripped branches and sticks. This goose out here on the scent mound is doing good with her nest. Shouldn't be long for her now, maybe a week and a half, and she'll be done with her incubating. Yeah, I expect by next week we'll see goslings here. Anyway, let's talk about the week. Sundays at the pond, my ritual. Pretty sure the harriers are gonna nest over there. Got that little clip of that guy gliding around. It's been about 10 years since we've had a harrier nest here, but that's a great place to have it in there. They've done it before, so I'm thinking they're gonna do it again this year. We'll see. I've seen them there a couple of times, so anyway, yeah, my Sunday ritual, hanging out at the pond. My Saturday ritual for the past couple of months has been hanging out at the house. Typically I go over sometime, in the morning or afternoon, and then I just stay there all day Saturday and through the night. And I, visit with Mahoney and the dogs and Justine, even though Justine doesn't really want to have anything to do with me and has been pretty hostile, to tell the truth. Doesn't want me around. She's not happy with this whole separation thing and am I coming around. But any case, Saturdays I've been over there, and last week was no different. In fact, last week we were expecting Mahoney to have a visitor come, and turns out he's maybe not going to be here for another month or so. But any case, we were cleaning up, and I went over there to help Mahoney do some of the cleaning, and about midnight, it seemed to me like the stroke of midnight, the magic hour, I got slapped down by the worst flu I've ever had. Well, is it the worst? It probably was. I don't know. But I've rarely experienced something like this. Last time I experienced something that was so drastic, it was kind of an enchanted sickness. I was at the Harvard's Peabody Museum. I was doing some repatriation work for the Hupa tribe of Northern California, and we were going through their materials in the stacks, and the museum representative had handed me this item that she said was a stone pipe, and so I assumed tobacco pipe. But as I was taking it from her hand, I could see through the stone pipe, that it was an open pipe all the way through. And so in my mind right away, as I was in the split second, a fraction of the second as I was taking it from her hand, in my mind I knew this was an instrument that belonged to a shaman that he would use, or she would use, to suck the sickness out of their patients. And all of that registered with me in the briefest fraction of a second, as I felt this electricity move down my arm all the way through my body, and then I started to black out. I started to pass out, and it took every bit of energy that I had to take that pipe from the museum representative and just put it on this tray, on this cart beside me, without actually literally passing out. And once it was down, then I was overcome suddenly by the worst kind of flu symptoms you can imagine. The nausea, the aching bones, and everything. It was just the fever all of a sudden. And that one put me out for 13 hours. The one with the Hupa's doctoring pipe put me out for 13 hours. I had to leave the museum immediately, go back to the hotel, and I just laid there. I was just gone for 13 hours. Last weekend, midnight, I got hit by something similar, and I was out for much longer than 13 hours. 2 days completely like 48 hours plus. Yeah, and this was really laid out days. Like I didn't entertain myself at all. I didn't listen to podcasts, didn't look at my phone, didn't do nothing. I was in bed and out. And the only time I got up was to try to hydrate, but I couldn't keep anything in me. Even water, it was either going straight through or back out. And 2 days of solid like vomiting, and it was wicked. Never experienced anything like it. Hope I never have to again. Don't know where it came from. But it was not a happy time. And I passed that time at the house. I went through the sickness at the house, and then I think on Tuesday I had a few different gigs that I was supposed to do for the schools that I backed out of, and in the evening I had some Boy Scouts, more or less. They were Beaver Scouts, and I led them out here on a tour of the wetlands, and I was hardly even myself, even Tuesday evening to lead them on that. I didn't have much time to recover. Wednesday I was working toward my Fort Whoop-Up project, which I'd planned to do a bunch of last weekend, and of course got hit with this sickness. And so Wednesday I was cutting my the hide that I'm going to use to strap the travois together, and I visited the fort itself, kind of checked in there, and then Thursday I was off to Calgary. Now I was supposed to have couple of sessions. Well, actually Wednesday night I was off to Calgary, and Thursday I was there. I was supposed to have 3 different sessions with a kind of a middle school. I don't know, it's a weird school. It was grade 4 to 9, right? And I kind of, myself, I kind of understand middle schools as the pubescent school, right? You want to separate those kids that are transitioning, that are pupating, so to speak, from the kids that aren't, right? So the younger kids, grades 1 to what have you, grades 1 to at least, I would think at least like grade 4 or 5, but they cut it off earlier. So you have a elementary school that are prepubescent, and then you got this pubescent transitioning middle school, and then you got the high school kids who have already done their transition. They're fully pubescent, and they're at a whole different stage. So I understand that kind of breakup, but why the 4 to 9 grade groupings, I don't understand. But I was doing presentations to grades 4 and 7, combined groups 4 and 7, and I played like the ecology game that I developed, that I play in the Lethbridge schools for them. So I had 3 of those sessions on Thursday, and then Thursday night I had scheduled for Chelsea and I to attend Ari Shafir's show at Yuck Yucks in Calgary, and this was going to be kind of my birthday treat. My birthday was Friday officially, but Ari was going to do shows Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and we figured, well, we're going to be there Thursday for my sessions at the middle school anyway, so let's do them that day. It all made sense, everything lined up. So we went to the comedy show and had a really good time. Enjoyed Ari Shafir. It was his Jew show, which he's been working on for probably close to a year now, so it's a lot of pretty refined material, and it was pretty good. We had a good time. Got back. We ended up driving late into the night Thursday night, even though we should have probably just stayed another night in Calgary. We drove back and been kind of playing a little bit of catch up ever since. I had a friend substitute for me for small mammals while I was gone, and he did a good job. He had a couple of skunk calls while I was in my absence. And then what? This weekend, not much has particularly transpired. I went over to the house again, did my Saturday ritual of spending time over there, and a couple of wildlife things occurred. We got yesterday, all of a sudden, yesterday afternoon, which had been Saturday, we got all of a sudden a duck and a raccoon. And the duck has looks like she has a broken leg, maybe a broken femur on her right leg. We're on the weekend, so I can't do much about it, but I think tomorrow I'm going to take her to maybe the Birds of Prey Center in Coaldale and see if they can have a vet actually look at her. She needs an x-ray. She may have other internal injuries, but she definitely has, at the very least, a broken femur. The raccoon is another issue. Now this guy came from, or girl I should say, she came from the attic space that I had posted about maybe 2 weeks ago in a video. I had crawled through this really tight little attic nook, and I hadn't seen anything, but apparently she and her siblings had been up there all the same. And so when the guy closed it off at my suggestion, he still heard some activity up there. He ended up opening it back up, and Mama took the other babies but left this one, and she is blind at the very least, and probably deaf by Mahoney and I's reckoning. We've tried to stimulate her with sound and visuals and all this stuff, and we think she's blind and deaf, which is going to be quite a challenge. So her story will continue to follow into the future. I think Justine is going to adopt her and take care of her, and we'll see what happens. We'll see how that develops. Let's see. Other than that, oh yeah, Charlie this morning woke up and Charlie had shed. So that's some big news. Been waiting for Charlie to shed. Charlie has shed, which means I'll probably go grab him another mouse this week, let him eat another mouse, and as soon as it warms up enough here that the other snakes are out, Charlie's gonna see his release. So that's the update on that, and update on what's happening in Ryan's world, and I think that's about it. I don't think I got anything else to share. I had a nice birthday. My new little family celebrated it good for me. They bought me a little cake, and the kids had a good time, and we had candles, cake, and little candy bags, and they sang happy birthday to me, so it was all cool. Got to talk to my mom for a few hours on the phone, and yeah, life is good. It's nice to be out here at the pond.